Energy Buyers Alliance. And just while we wait for the security at COP to do their thing, we're going to play a quick video just to get everyone in the mood and whet your appetite. Video to roll.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today for the launch of the Clean Energy Demand Initiative, or as we call it, SETI. My name is Anna Spitzberg and I'm the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Energy Transformation at the U.S. Department of State. I have been fortunate enough to work with our team to develop and launch SETI, and I want to take a moment to thank all of our amazing partners, fellow countries, companies, and leading NGOs, especially the Renewable Energy Buyers Alliance, RE100, and the World Resources Institute. We launched this initiative to help connect companies and countries who share common goals to deploy clean energy and contribute to economic growth. SETI aims to be a platform and network for cross-sectoral engagement, demand signaling, lesson sharing, and country support for corporate renewable procurement. Companies have set ambitious renewable targets to offset their electricity demand, and the ability to meet these targets is increasingly becoming criteria for broader investment decisions. And so through the SETI platform, companies across all sectors, including technology, finance, health, manufacturing, transport, and retail, can send those investment signals, and in turn, countries can signal policy updates and plans that enable renewable procurement, as well as support each other. In this way, SETI leverages the multitude of participants able to contribute to growth in power supply as a complement to growth in industrial and commercial sectors. And I must say, as we have begun to socialize SETI and its design and ambitions, we have been incredibly encouraged by the strong interest from companies and countries alike. Already in 2021, over 70 companies have expressed interest in participating in SETI. The investment interest from these companies could drive up to an estimated $67 billion in renewable energy infrastructure across 14 countries, and the list is bound to grow. Many of these companies are with us today, and we thank them for their participation and look forward to continuing to collaborate. We have also worked closely with countries from all over the world, and we are honored to have several of them represented today. Their leadership and participation illustrate the powerful potential to leverage the SETI platform for clean energy growth and support of economic and climate goals. We are launching SETI at COP26 in Glasgow, but the work does not end here. We're excited about the path ahead as we develop the SETI platform to provide value at every stage. When Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, Kerry, previewed SETI on the margins of the UN General Assembly, he noted that if we're going to meet our climate goals, we need to deploy renewable energy 6 times faster than we are currently. He stressed that we need to accelerate the deployment through aggregating purchase power of renewable energy, or a speed-up mechanism. SETI is that speed-up mechanism. So thank you for joining us today. It is only the beginning.
Hello, my
The floor is yours.
Oh, really? All right.
Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize for being a few moments late. I was off campus, as we say, and as all of you know, getting back in is not easy even for those of us who thought it might be. I want to thank you. I just came from an event we did with business leaders who are going to be trying to lead market creation. And I really want to thank the combination of business leaders and country leaders, both of whom together are joining us today for this important announcement. I have said many times, and maybe occasionally one or two of you have heard me say it, that we need at this COP to raise ambition significantly, hugely. We have to literally compound, multiply the numbers of initiatives and efforts that people are engaged in order to do what we have to do to reduce enough emissions between 2020 and 2030. Because if you don't do enough between 2020 and 2030, you can't keep 1.5 and you can't get to net zero 2050. Those are the stakes. And so everybody knows, because the goal here is a big one, that in order to meet our aspirations, the IEA has done some terrific work. And they've made it clear that the world needs to triple the investment in clean energy to some $4 trillion annually if we're going to reach our goal. So the trillions of dollars that you've heard announced yesterday are important, critical, and we have to deploy them. But what is also critical is this effort here today, and many like it. No government on the planet has enough money to be able to meet the challenge that I just described of $4 trillion. But thanks to unprecedented, don't worry about it. Thanks to unprecedented momentum that now exists from the private sector. I've been to COPs since 1992 when we first created this process. I've never seen as much ambition, as much energy, as much focus, as much sense of urgency as we are feeling now. And private industry is bringing literally trillions of dollars to the table. So we all have to do more in order to put that money to work. And that's true in the public sector, it's true in the private sector. So that's what we're really announcing here today. That's what this initiative is. We are launching today the Clean Energy Demand Initiative, SETI. And it will accelerate the energy transition by leveraging the purchasing power of the private sector. So over 325 corporate leaders have committed to go 100% renewable energy. And that means that a whole new set of investors will be investing in clean energy power. Many of these companies are not only interested in reducing their own carbon, in decarbonizing themselves, but they are interested in ensuring that renewable energy is used throughout their supply chains as well. So it's important to put all of this potential into perspective. Some of these companies, energy demand of an individual company actually rivals the energy output of individual countries. It's that big. And so I've talked to businesses where the ease of purchasing renewable energy is a very significant factor in their decision of where they will build their next factory or their data center. So governments around the world are now embracing this potential that and the demands of their people for clean energy. Corporations are doing the same thing. And there's been a revolution in boardrooms all around the world, partly because of ESG, but partly also because just as a business model, people understand this is where the world is going to go. And the people who move rapidly and clearly are going to have a better business model and better long-term capacity to survive and thrive than people who hold back and go in the other direction. These leaders understand that this is, quite literally, the biggest business transformation since the Industrial Revolution itself. It's not inappropriate to be here in Glasgow. I just came from a building that was an old steel mill, and there we announced a green initiative. That is what this is about. So through SETI, more than 75 companies have already expressed interest in signaling their willingness to invest in renewable energy across some 14 countries. And we just heard that the number that is going to go into this will be somewhere in the vicinity of nearly $100 billion. So that progress speaks directly to the capacity of SETI and corporate renewable procurement to change as we go forward. So, my friends, this signals what countries are going to send back, and those signals are just as important. So, I can tell you that in the United States, we are doing absolutely everything we can to accelerate and to support this vital transition. This transition is the only way we win this battle. And looking around here today with the country representatives and corporate representatives, I think you can tell that SETI is striking a chord. It's the right initiative at the right moment. This is a strong and diverse group of stakeholders, and it's one of those groups that is going to contribute very significantly to getting this done. So we're going to hear, I'm sorry I can't remain for it, I have to go to another negotiating session, but we are going to hear from some of our strongest country and strongest corporate supporters from countries, Indonesia, Nigeria, Philippines, and Thailand, and from corporations, Amazon, HP, IKEA, and Nike. And I think we're going to kick things off with a corporate panel. So let me turn it back over to our able moderator. Thank you all very much for sharing in this announcement.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Secretary Kerry. Okay, so moving on. Kara Hurst, Vice President and Head of Worldwide Sustainability at Amazon. Question to you then, Kara. Can you tell us in, say, 3 minutes, what is your vision for meeting your clean energy goals? And then how do these translate into growth in countries around the world?
Well, thank you so much for having us, and it's amazing to see this level of interest in renewable energy. We know that corporate purchasing of renewable energy is really one of the biggest drivers, and that the demand has been increasing for a number of years and continues to really exceed the supply. So that's why we're really excited about working with REBA and have for many years, bringing more folks into the partnership to develop robust financial mechanisms, to explore PPAs together and how we can continue to drive those around the world. So we're really excited about this initiative in particular. At Amazon, we have a goal to reach net zero carbon by 2040. We've created the Climate Pledge and had over 200 other companies sign on to that as a part of it. And of course, our delivery of renewable energy is a key part of how we're going to achieve that goal. So we set a commitment when we launched the pledge 2 years ago to reach 100% renewable energy by 2030. But as all companies can and should, when possible, looking into that, we decided that we could move faster. So we pulled that commitment up, and we're now trying to reach 100% renewable energy across our global operations by 2025. That involves a large amount of utility scale wind and solar. It involves projects on the tops of our fulfillment network around the world. So we've done 230 of those renewable projects so far. It's an incredible amount of energy, really, that we are going to need to make that transformation. And it continues to grow, and it's not available in all of the jurisdictions and the regions and the places that we need it around the world. So we think that that's where SETI can come in, and we know what that also does in terms of economic growth is it drives that transformation that Secretary Kerry was just speaking about, the necessary infrastructure transformation. We want to do this transformation with clean steel. We want to do it with thinking about how do we drive the best economic value in terms of jobs and new opportunities in these localities where we're going to have renewable energy projects. We want to think about what it does to our air quality in those regions and deploy that first so that the transition that we're making is a just transition. So we're really excited about being a part of this and utilizing it really to reach our own goal, but then also teaching and learning and partnering with REBA and SETI to think about how we share what we're doing at that scale, how we share the different financial mechanisms that we're using, how we share the different projects that we're deploying, and how we send that very strong demand signal as an industry in all the regions that we need it, where we want to see more renewable energy. So we really think this is an incredible initiative, and we're very pleased to be a part of it.
Cara, thank you so much. I'm going to ask the same question down to Noel Kinder. So Noel is CSO at Nike. Noel, to you, also meeting your clean energy goals and then translating into economic growth in countries around the world.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And like Kara said, but we're all kind of in this fight together and have very similar goals. You know, at Nike, we've already committed to 100% renewable energy in our owned and operated facilities by 2025, much like Amazon has. That by itself is no easy task, as you might imagine. But as Secretary Kerry said, there's this really compelling need to go faster. If you expand beyond our owned and operated footprint and start to look at our Scope 3 emissions, which really includes the expanse of our supply chain in countries like Indonesia and Thailand, we need to go much faster, not only for us to achieve our own goals, which include a significant reduction by 2030, in line with our science-based targets, which obviously are connected to the Paris Accords, but we need to do that in partnership with our supply chain partners and with the countries in which they operate. And so this is a fantastic opportunity to leverage collective momentum in a way that really starts to accelerate that journey. As Secretary Kerry said, and I know Kara said as well, there's really no time to lose. And so the only way that we're going to solve something so complex and daunting really is to work together. And this is just a fantastic opportunity and example of what working together can do in terms of accelerating momentum.
Excellent, Noel, thank you. Moving down the line here, Ellen. So, Ellen Jakowski is CIO at HP. Ellen, same question to you. How are you going to meet your goals, and then also how is this going to translate into economic growth in economies around the world?
Thank you so much for having me. So at HP, again, like so many of us here today, we understand that this is the most consequential decade of our time, and we must hold global warming to 1.5 degrees, as well as reach net zero by mid-century, if not sooner. And so for us, we've also set very similar goals, 100% renewable electricity in our operations by 2025. We've already achieved that 100% in the United States, and we're over halfway there globally, so about 51% today. But we have 160 sites all around the globe. So we need to be able to purchase renewable energy in all of these various locations. So hence, this is why SETI is so important to us. But when we step back and we look at our carbon footprint, our own operations are only about 1% of our total carbon footprint. So what that means is it's good if we're taking this action, if we've committed to 100% renewable electricity by 2025, but what about our supply chain? As HP, we've also set some very ambitious and comprehensive climate action goals for our entire value chain. It begins with being carbon neutral in our operations by 2025, a 50% absolute reduction of our emissions in our value chain by 2030, and that's on our pathway to being carbon neutral net zero across our full value chain by 2040, a decade ahead of what the science calls for. So for us to do that, again, we have to mobilize our entire supply chain to change, to transform, and part of that, the biggest lever, is access to renewable energy and a clean energy transformation. So again, SETI plays a very important role to us. The policies that governments set are absolutely critical. They need to be competitive, they need to be open, they need to be resilient. They need to set a modern, clean energy infrastructure and a smart grid. So that's what we're very much looking forward to. We have to have it to reach our own goals as a company. We need it for our industry, and we of course need it for the world.
Hey, Ellen, thank you so much. And I would now like to move to Lena. So Lena Prick-Kovac is the CSO at the Inter-IKEA Group. Lena, same questions to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, we are also very honored to be here today and have the same ambitions and goals. I can see that we are very aligned on the urgency as well as the commitments. At IKEA, we have actually committed to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions more than our entire value chain. And we have similar goals. We have the goal of 2025 that all our operations should be renewable electricity. But we are also looking into our suppliers, and by 2030 we want all our suppliers to be on renewable energy as well. And when we look at how to get there, I think we can see that there is today two problems. One is that there is not enough generated renewable energy, so we need to be part of contributing to the more of the supply. But we can also see that purchasing agreements are quite difficult. There are regulations, there are standards that actually goes against the ability to buy renewable energy. So that's why we think the collaboration here with SETI is going to be a tremendous support to actually drive this possibility, both to generate more supply, but also to look into the possibility to have purchasing agreements that actually are possible to just buy renewable energy. What we do ourselves is we also need to support, of course, our suppliers in this journey. Today we have two options. We support with discount loans to our suppliers to actually invest in on-site renewable energy generation. What we can see, it is very popular, and the fact is that we are all see that this is already in the plans of the suppliers, which is very, very encouraging. The other one is that we do collaborate with the purchasing agreement and bundle them to see what we can do to actually show stable demand on renewable energy. And this is where we can see the collaboration in this platform be even more important. But when we also look at it, we see, of course, this is possible. Sometimes it sounds like it is an urgency and a speed that needs to do that is almost daunting. But we know, for example, that our industry today already are at 95% renewable energy, and that is our own IKEA industry. So what does this do? I heard the just transition. I think the whole discussion here is super important to collaborate. It is both to make sure that the speed is going in faster into renewable energy and the access to renewable energy, but it is also to do it in the right way and make sure that we collaborate between countries, between different type of organizations and corporations, because then we can actually mobilize this change together. So very, very happy with the SETI initiative and hope to be able to contribute.
Well, thank you very much, all of you, so much. So we're going to move on to our next phase of the agenda here. I'd like to everyone give a big round of applause to our speakers here. If you could make your way down that way, that would be great, thank you. And while they are exiting the stage there, Minister Sharon Ikazor, could you come up please and deliver some of your remarks? Very keen to hear and discuss Nigeria's participation in SETI. So thank you very much indeed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure to join you all here today at the launch of SETI. And I must commend the US for its return back to the Paris Agreement and for their continued leadership. My country, Nigeria, is pleased, very pleased to sign up to the city. And we hope that this sends a signal that we are ready for business as it relates to the significant scale-up of renewable energy in our economy. In fact, Nigeria has taken several steps to demonstrate our readiness. Our integrated energy plan has been developed to cover electrification, clean cooking, and cold chain planning for vaccine distributions, showing the least cost path to achieving universal access to energy in Nigeria with a mix of technologies. This plan has been translated into a visualization tool with multi-stakeholders. We're excited about the transparency that this tool creates, and we'll be publicly launching this online tool along with our energy transition plan before the end of this year. Our energy transition plan has also been developed through the COP26 Energy Transition Council process. This plan shows a detailed roadmap for Nigeria to achieve both SDG 7 by 2030 and net zero by 2060, while providing enough clean energy to power industrialization at the same time. Of course, this same plan highlights the scale of the efforts required with an investment need of $400 billion. Yes, you heard me right, $400 billion, above business as usual. And also the deployment of 7 gigawatts of renewable energy additional capacity to our grid every year. This plan allows for the use of transitional fuels to enable us to provide energy for 85 million people that still lacks energy access in my country. And this is why our government is now taking steps to create an enabling environment for financiers to deploy the capital required at scale to accelerate our clean energy transition. It's important for all efforts to also focus on local currency financing to ensure projects are viable and scalable. At this point, I would like to mention and thank the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet, led by the Rockefeller Foundation and the IKEA Foundations, who have already set the pace by committing $100 million to Nigeria and to mobilize a further $5 billion investments in clean energy. So we hope others would follow suit, and that our signing of this letter of intent signals a new beginning for our relationship with the US and our clean energy sector. So I look forward to assessing the progress of SETI in the coming months and years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now next I'd like to welcome Undersecretary Wimpy Fuentebella, who's also going to discuss the Philippines' participation in SETI.
Thank you very much. I am Wimpy Fuentebella. I'm the Undersecretary from the Department of Energy. And on behalf of our country, we're here to present a basic formula that we have been working on so that we can proceed towards our common goal, towards clean energy. And from the business as usual that we have been carrying, we introduced first energy efficiency. Energy efficiency has been signed, the law has been signed by our president 2 years ago. It has been pending in Congress for 29 years. So you can imagine I was in grade school when that was introduced, and now I'm Undersecretary, it was passed. And from energy efficiency, because we have to examine our behavior first. That's why we love this idea of demand coming first, because we have to discipline our behavior. We have to purchase the right lighting, appliances. We have to report and monitor our consumption before we go into the next phase of the formula is renewable energy, or you can go directly to information communication technology, or you can go to other energy technologies such as batteries, or you can go towards resiliency because our country has been hit by very hard-hitting typhoons. So, the country is not only advocating for climate justice to get compensation, but it's to provide opportunities to implement our activities so that we reach our goal right now. And so after this, the energy efficiency law, we also talk about green buildings. We have the guidelines for the design and construction of green buildings so that we become energy efficient. We also have the energy service companies in the Philippines to assist your companies if you want to go into clean energy, the Clean Energy Initiative. We also have, under the Renewable Energy Program, first the net metering. We allow our consumers to come up with their own energy facility. And next is the green energy option, because you can purchase your own energy as a choice. And that our policy, our rules allow it. And number 3, you can have the renewable portfolio standards. This is a quota for the distribution utilities to purchase at least 1% of their demand from renewable energy. And it will be increased by our country to 2.52% so that we can attain the 30% renewable in the power mix by 2030 and 35% and 50% by 2040. So all this in, we have the renewable energy market so that you can trade your, if you have 1 megawatt, it's like basketball. 1 point, 1 certificate, and you can trade if you have too much and you don't have enough to comply with your mandate, with your quota. So these are our activities embodied in the Philippine Energy Plan. It's not a perfect plan. We don't have a perfect system. So I will give you also the number of the Department of Energy Investment Promotion Office. It's +63 917 512 1234. WhatsApp, Viber, text us if you encounter any problems and see how we can improve further on these initiatives. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together and we want to serve you. The Philippines want to serve you, especially because the President, our Secretary, thinks that consumers come first, demand is first. So thank you very much.
Thank you ever so much. And so now we would like to hear from Thailand. So we're going to roll the video for pre-recorded remarks from Permanent Secretary Kulit Sambatsiri of Thailand's Energy Ministry.
สวัสดีครับ Honorable John Kerry, U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to join this event at the United States Pavilion during this COP26 in Glasgow today. It is well recognized the role of the United States to combat with the impact of the global climate change under the President Biden administration. As we all aware, the world energy transition is underway and climate change is a global challenge for all of us. As our Prime Minister recently announced during COP26 Leaders Summit, Thailand has set the targets to achieve carbon neutrality in 2050, and we will reach the net zero greenhouse gas emission in 2065 if financially and technically supported. In pursuing to such ambitious goal, Thailand is working on a long-term strategic plan called National Energy Plan 2022, with a strong intention to ensure that the global average temperature does not increase more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is in line with the Paris Agreement. We welcome the initiative from US on the Clean Energy Demand Initiative, or SETI, which comes at the right time in COP26. This initiative will commence the clean energy development in industry value chain by building the platform for clean energy investment for interested countries and key private sector engagement. The government of Kingdom of Thailand is moving in the same direction to boost up clean energy investment in the country to achieve our carbon neutrality target and energy transition pathway. Therefore, Thailand is keen to join the SETI initiative as proposed by the US government to bring the active US companies to expedite the clean energy investment. Thailand is ready to welcome all foreign investors to join us in developing clean energy projects to fulfill the SETI goal. We have large potential of clean energy resource across the country, and we will provide several supportive measures to facilitate foreign direct investment for clean energy projects. The Board of Investment of Thailand also provides incentives to support renewable energy investment projects. Furthermore, the government of Thailand also prepared an industrial estate in the eastern part of Thailand called the Eastern Economic Corridor (EEC), which is located in the strategic area with connecting infrastructure of seaport, airport, high-speed train, and road to ensure the smooth logistic management for industry. Under the EEC development plan, we also aim to supply at least 30% of electricity generating from clean energy, including the initial phase of 500 megawatt solar power generation, to ensure that the products from participated industry in EEC are produced only from clean energy. With the recognition of our long-term partnership between Thailand and US, we expect that SETI would be a key instrument and mechanism to drive Thailand and the United States' ambition and commitments toward the clean energy transition. In the next step, Thailand is pleased to work closely with the government of the United States to develop the tangible collaboration through SETI and lay down the action plan for the implementation to support this initiative for both countries. I wish the event today will create a constructive approach to materialize and accelerate clean energy aspiration and meet ambitious goal of COP26. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you. And then lastly, I'd like to actually call up the Indonesian Energy and Natural Resources Minister, Arifin Tasrif, just to give some closing remarks.
Excellency, United States Special Presidential Envoy to Climate, Mr. John Kerry, company and business leaders, distinguished speakers and participants, good afternoon. I would like to express my highest appreciation towards the United States government, as well as various companies and partners for organizing this event. The global energy landscape is currently transitioning to a low carbon economy and a climate neutral world, and Indonesia is one of the countries processing towards the transition. The Indonesian government realized that an adequate regulatory framework is essential to accelerate the renewable energy deployment and ensure the success of our energy transition. Indonesia has prepared several measures, among others, determination of greener state-owned electricity supply and demand plan for 2021-2030. Under this 10 years planning document, renewable energy power generation will be built in about 21 gigawatt, or is about 51.6% of the total generating capacity of 40 gigawatt. We're strengthening policies, mainly rooftop PV. By September of 2021, 39.28 megawatt peak of solar PV rooftop has been installed by 4,262 customers. Mandatory biofuel policy is intended not only to encourage the increasing renewable energy share and reduce the GHG emission. Carbon tax, cap and tax, will be implemented on limited basis to coal-fired power plants starting by April 2022. Indonesia emphasized to achieve the target 23% new renewable energy in our primary energy mix by 2025, which will reduce 29 to 41% based on NDC targets by 2030 and net zero emission by 2060 or sooner. We state 2040 with the support of international society. Recently, we prepare also our net zero emission roadmap accordingly. The government has supported industries and consumers to take part in renewable energy development by obtaining a renewable energy certificate provided by state-owned company and installing solar PV rooftop. Indonesia is also planning to develop supergrid starting after 2025, considering Indonesia as an archipelagic country and need to provide energy access to local people. The supergrid is also intended to address mismatch between renewable energy resources and the location of high electricity demand area. All of our efforts in energy transition will need a robust infrastructure, advanced technology, and very strong financial support. Large amount of investment are needed to build these necessary building blocks in renewable energy. Indonesia joined SETI in the hopes of strengthening our cooperation with the US government as well as many influential business entities to deliver our common goal to promote clean energy investment. To conclude, I would like to reiterate our gratitude and appreciation towards the US government for inviting us to join this initiative. I'm looking forward to further discuss our collaboration. Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. You know, one of the things that actually Minister Arifin just said that clicked into my mind, you know, for those of you, the sharp-eyed in the room here, you'll notice that on the fact sheet, and I think in the White House announcement 2 days ago, the SETI initiative was hoping to incent around 67 or 68 billion from the demand of corporates. And as we heard from Secretary Kerry, that number is up to 100 billion. Kind of incredible. And so I think as the week goes on and then as time goes on, as this initiative continues to gather pace and gather momentum, we are looking forward to welcoming every company we had here in the audience, all the implementation partners, all the governments around the world to make that number and just start adding zeros all the way along there and then hopefully move through the energy transition. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for your time here in the room. I'd like to thank everyone for your time of watching us virtually. This has been a really, really exciting launch on this here Day 5 COP at Energy Day. Thank you for your time, attention, and looking forward to moving this forward with everyone. Thank you.